Good evening, YouTube. Today I thought I would make a extension of the Maxime Bernier video. I felt it did not do the conversation enough justice. I felt that in the video I was a little bit too much opinionated, but I did not reveal enough about the conversation that he had with the Toronto Star. And there were a lot of issues that really bothered me in their conversation. First and foremost, that they seem to be attacking Max on his policies and so on and so forth, ignoring the fact that they're very necessary in today's society. So just watch and you'll see what I mean. The first clip is on immigration at 10 minutes and 3 seconds. This policy interview was about immigration, and you'll see Max's reply here.
I think it's important to have that discussion. There's nothing taboo about that, to have a discussion about immigration. And when you look at the poll, 49% of Canadians want fewer immigrants. So we're not radical when we're asking for fewer immigrants. People who are radicals are people who want more immigrants. Only 6% of Canadians want more immigrants. So that's important to have that discussion. And yes, it's in line with our principle. You know, the four principle of our party, it's individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect. And yes, we respect every religions, we respect Canadians, we respect our diversity. But we think that more and more diversity is not good for the country. Like Justin Trudeau said, you know, diversity is our strength. We don't believe in that. What unites us, it is our strength, and we must work on that. So I think it's important, yes, because Canadians are concerned about that. And we're not anti-immigration, we're not for mass immigration, and for us mass immigration is 350,000 immigrants a year. After 3 years, you'll have 1 million people, that's the population of Nova Scotia, and at 350,000 a year per capita, our country will receive more immigrants than any other Western countries. At 150,000 a year per capita will be the same as the US and all the other European countries. So that's not radical. We want to have more economic immigrants because our immigration policy must be there to fulfill our economic needs. And so let's have that discussion. And
so you heard it there first. Max's response to immigration in this country, which has become extremely undisciplined. There's a situation that's happening in Canada where the policies that used to be about responsible immigration, so people who would bring value to this country in terms of skills, ability, education. So there was a standard there that's set, and in the job market, these people are invaluable. They're just, God knows how much they bring to our economy, how much benefits that they don't bring. And it's part of me that we don't know about that they do bring. So Max is talking about here the obvious crisis of refugees coming across our borders unchecked, sneaking in from the US per se, and in the quantity of about 150,000 a year. And then he said that in 3 years that's going to be, well, close to 1 million people, the population of Nova Scotia. So he points out a massive issue here of border security. So that'll take me to the next one, which is at 11 minutes and 45 seconds.
And I'm ready for having that discussion.
Sure. Well, there's so many ways to go here. I mean, okay. Immigration. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just drill down into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I suppose well, certainly one can debate numbers, and debate whether or not 350,000 is a big enough number. But you don't have to be some kind of wacky leftist, to look at the Canadian economy, to look at the demographic trends, and to conclude that substantial immigration is good for the economy, has been good for the economy. You look at things like the Conference Board of Canada famously brings out study after study demonstrating and arguing that if we don't want to face a demographic crisis down the line, we need to have substantial amounts of immigration.
I just wanted to add in an aside there. This person here on the council, not council, but let's just call them the team of staff that's working on Max's case at the moment. The Conference Board of Canada has already been known as a extremely partisan organization. And partisan in what way? Well, you can guess that. They are partisan for whoever is paying their bills. So that would be the Liberal Party of Canada. And not exactly the sense in paying bills. Here I found on Wikipedia that they've repeatedly... Listen to this. In May 2009, the Conference Board of Canada was criticized over its claim to be objective and non-partisan. It released a report relating to copyright regulations in Canada, which plagiarized papers published by the International Intellectual Property Alliance. The Conference Board responded standing by its report, which drew further criticism, claiming they ignored a commission report for partisan reasons. So they're obviously supporting... They're playing the political game, so to speak. And here, the Liberals have a great deal of influence. So I would assume that they're the team they're playing for, and I'm correct in that. The Conference Board recalled the report after conducting an internal review, which determined that there was undue reliance on feedback from a funder of the report. The Conference Board hosted a roundtable discussion on intellectual property in September 2009 and published a new report, Intellectual Property in the 21st Century, in February 2010. So, that's one. Stereotyping controversy. In November 2016, a recording surfaced of Michael Bloom, the vice president of the Conference Board, which contained a number of generalizing statements about Indigenous peoples, people of the Caribbean, Asian, and Middle Eastern descent. The statements were made in the presence of an employee that is of Indigenous heritage. Upon learning of the recording, the Conference Board of Canada placed the vice president on immediate leave of absence and initiated an internal investigation. Shortly after the recording was made public, it was further revealed that a former employee commenced legal action against the Conference Board of Canada. This employee has worked under Michael Bloom and alleged a toxic work environment. The former employee was also of Indigenous heritage. A lawsuit was filed in Ontario and sought $175,000 in damages. So what I'm hearing, like, you can believe Wiki or you can't. In my experience, they're about 99.8% correct. So let's say that this is true for the moment. Now, I promise you that in another video I'm releasing, I will find this tape that was released by this case. And I'll try to find more evidence on the property, intellectual property theft, plagiarism. But you have it there. This is not a reliable source, a reliable think tank, if you will. They are extremely biased. And according to this statement, they have members on their board that are extremely racist, especially against Indigenous peoples. So we have a couple of things here. That the fact that this guy referenced that board is just referencing one of his buddies so that he can prove a point that isn't really valid. The second thing that you might notice here is that he's dismissing Max's point directly out of hand about, the number of 300,000 immigrants. Now, I'm sorry for jumping on too many topics at once, but I just wanted to show you the info on the board, because here's the way it works. This guy is trying to downplay the severity of the, let's call it, immigrant slash refugee crisis here in Canada. And I'll make another video about that shortly, on Quebec and the crisis that faced them when refugees are being put up in hotels in Montreal. Not just ordinary hotels, apparently very expensive hotels as well. And refugees have been put there by Justin Trudeau on taxpayers' dime. So on my next video, I'll talk about that. We're almost out of time here, so I'm just going to let you see Max's response.
You have the OECD coming out and praising the way Canada's been handling this. You have numbers coming out over the summer that showed that recent immigrants are finding jobs, that they're in fact finding jobs at they have a lower unemployment rate than other Canadians. Purely just an economic point of view, leaving aside the values.
Yeah, first of all, the most important, if we want Canadians to have more babies, and I think that's important for demographic, like you said, taxes are important. There's a cost when you're having a child. There's a cost of that. So we have a tax platform that will give more money in the Canadian pockets, and they will save $35 billion a year with our tax reform. So that's huge. You need to put that in context also. But like I said, right now on 310, I think it's the number of this year, 310,000, that's the number of this year, or 20, something like that. Only 26% of them are economic immigrants. And maybe you can argue that, no, the number from the government is 55%. And both are right. I'm right and they're right. So 26, when I'm saying 26% of our immigrants are economic immigrants right now, and the government is saying 55%, it's because they are taking into account the immediate family of that skilled worker that is coming to Canada. And I'm just counting the skilled worker, but yes, that person will have the right to come with their immediate family. But actually, the skilled worker is coming here because we need that skill and these kind of people to help for the private sector. So let's have more of them, and increasing the ratio at 50% instead of 26%. So that will help. So 50% of 150,000 a year, it's about the same at 26% and 310,000 a year. So let's have more economic immigrants. And also don't forget that in the numbers you have refugees. Canada receives absolute number more refugees than the U.S., 10 times bigger than us. It's not sustainable. So yes, in the number of 310, you have a lot of refugees, and we want to cut that. We want to be sure that people respect our borders. We want to have a fence at the Roxham Road. We want to end these 45,000 illegal migrants that are crossing our border. We want that to stop, and we want to welcome them, but they will have to cross our border at the official port of entry. So let's have fewer refugees. That's a cost for the society, and fewer, actually, the cost of these 45,000 a year, it's about $350 million a year. So we need to be sure that we will help the real refugees, the ones that are waiting in a camp where their life is in danger, not the person that is coming from the state of New York. Their life is not in danger. But I understand that they're coming from a better future. But we cannot save the world. We cannot save the world. It's not sustainable. So let's help the real refugees, having fewer refugees, and helping the real one, the minority that are persecuted in another country. So that's the goal. That's Canadians are generous for that, but not for helping these people to cross illegally our borders. So in the numbers, you have a lot of refugees, and for us, we'll have fewer refugees. And I think that's important for more economic immigrants. And I understand that some business organizations have other point of view of that. I respect that. But also we must be sure, that's a cost for Ontario. All these people are coming here in Toronto. And look at the cost for the Ontario government and the city of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So there he goes on that point again, is the cost per the city of Toronto, the city of Montreal, and so on and so forth. So, and then Max is saying, you know, I respect other point of view from that businesses. I don't. That's why I showed you that that clip from the Conference Board of Canada, because I don't think they're a legitimate think tank. I think they're a partisan think tank. They investigate things at the bidding of the Liberal Party, and the Toronto Star, not the Sun. The Toronto Star's function is pretty much the same way. They're paid to work for Justin Trudeau and for publicity damage, to make sure that when he's caught in a scandal that they don't report on it correctly. So Maxime Bernier here answered the question on refugees very nicely, and the illegal border crossings and whatnot. He addressed that as well, very nicely. The only politician I know that spoke in depth about the problem at Roxham Road, that people are just crossing the border into Canada, you know, like 100,000. He said something like 45,000, but I'm sure it's higher than that, because it's very hard to regulate and account for something that you really aren't. The government isn't trying to control it. The government is just letting them, like, if they're caught by the RCMP, they're allowed in. So how do you account for something? You cannot have accountability for something you're not even keeping track of. So this is the end of part 1 of this video. There's this video from the Toronto Star here is actually just pure gold for me. It really is a insightful conversation into Maxime Bernier, not because of the questions they're asking, but the way that Max answers it. It's just pure gold for me. I really enjoyed it. The Star is asking a lot of silly questions and misguiding and bias and whatnot, but Max handles it beautifully. So I'd like to thank you for your time and attention, and I will be releasing another video, part 2 of this video, continuing on about the analysis of this conversation he had with this Toronto Star. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you like this video. Bye-bye.